Welcome everybody to the
Wait for the audio.
March meeting of the Commission on Aging Well. I'd like to happy Pi Day for everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and our first order of business is to approve the draft minutes that were sent out to everybody. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, do I hear a motion for approval?
I move to approve as submitted.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Draft minutes are approved. There are no public appearances for non-agenda items, so we'll move on to our look at Resolution R2424. Scott is here to tell us 103 pages worth of
10 minutes or less.
10 minutes or
10
less?
minutes less.
Oh.
Yep.
It's good, it's good.
Okay, you're on.
All right.
First off, I certainly want to appreciate or thank Commission on Aging for giving me the forum. I am Scott Undel. I'm the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. And one of the things that we do utilize in our planning is the Park and Open Space Plan, which you have before you. The last plan was done in 2015 to 2020, and this plan is going to be from 2024 to 2028. Now, what the plan provides is guidelines, action items, goals. We have a mission statement in there, but what it doesn't provide is the specific details of a specific goal that or action that may be included in the plan. For example, in the plan, it identifies, because we've got parkland dedication fees and park improvement fees. When a new development comes in, the developer, which is, I can refer you to the brown sheet here, the developer, when they come within the community, they have to provide space for parkland, 2,900 square feet per dwelling unit. And then they also have to provide improvement fees, which the theory is, or the methodology is, that we'll use those dollars to purchase the equipment to place in the new neighborhood park, which the new neighborhood is in need of because of the new residents. So this is, just to give you a little bit of an idea, we do 2,900 square feet per dwelling unit, and then actually we've got a park improvement fee depending on what type of development it is. And then if they're deficient in the parkland dedication, they would need to provide $4,330 in lieu of that parkland dedication. So, you know, and I would be remiss too that the planning department, Deanna Schmidt and Brad Sipple are really the folks that are helping with this planning document. They're with the planning department, so they assist us with this document. What it also provides is it provides us opportunity to participate in grant programs, federal or state grant. You need to have a plan in order to apply for grants. So what the plan does, it has 3 sections. It has an executive summary, which is really kind of the accumulation of everything. It has an existing conditions, which is a list of all the different parks and amenities. And then it has action items, which is the last section, which what we'll do is we'll get to that in a moment. But before that, what I did also include, I talked a little bit about a reflection from one year, 2015 to 2024, and that's the gray sheet that I've got. I do a host report, which is actually a state of the department in 2024, and then on the reverse side, it was the same report in 2015. And what I did do is I compared, because I'm interested too, it gives me a chance to kind of, instead of the day-to-day grind, I can kind of evaluate. But in regards to staffing, in 2015, the staff is myself, the recreation department is part of the Park Rec and Forestry. We have a city forester, and then also we've got park maintenance. So we had 10.25 full-time full-time equivalencies for staff in 2015. and we've got 11.75 currently. So we've gone up 1.5 staff, if you would, from 2015. The middle part there is our budget. You can see that the budget in 2024 for Park Rec and Forestry was almost $2 million. In 2015, it was just over $1 million, $1,089,713. Another thing, if I could call your attention to, in 2023, we've got the revenue indicated there, and we received revenue from rec programming, community center rentals, park shelter rentals, athletic field facility rentals. In 2015, we had a little bit over $200,000 in revenue, and now we've got, in 2023, we had 269, almost 270,000. What's interesting there too, if you look up to 2019, it was 259,944, and then 2020, you know what hit,
Wow.
and went down to 69. But then to compare, 2019 to 2023, we're back up to pre-COVID. And then the middle, a tree planted in 2023, 401. And another big difference is in 2015, we had 507 acres of parkland compared to today, we have 788. So that's a big difference. Then down at the bottom, we've got our dog park. We've got an inclusive playground, which is adjacent to the splash pad. We've got a disc golf course. We've got 8 pickleball courts that we just built not too long ago, and we've got 30+ miles of bike trails in comparison to about 20 in 2015. Well, just a kind of a quick, what's included in those parks, we've got 15 small gazebos, we've got 14 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, 12 large shelters, which are, there's about 6 or 7 of them that are rentable, 13 ball diamonds, 22 half basketball courts, 6 full basketball courts, and 40 playgrounds within the park system, which kind of gives you an idea of the scope of what we've provided. And just as a PR, I really feel that the parks and the recreational programs are really an asset to the city. I think they really provide a place to gather. Really those intangible values that I would suspect and hope that people that are coming to potentially move to Fitchburg, they take a look at these amenities and these services, and we really, hopefully it's a positive. I'm confident. I might be biased, but I think it is really an asset to the community. Then if we go to the back,
Scott, can I interrupt a second?
Yes.
I see that the forester is a summer intern?
Nope.
No, we have Ann Healing there.
Yep.
Okay.
That's one position went from, I think it was 3 days to full-time, and then she does have an assistant. And we actually hire 4 kids that work during the summer in maintenance, and then the rec department has 6 or 7 summer seasonal kids, which is a nice, and actually they're up to like $17.75 an hour. So that's a nice summer job for the kids that are in the community. And really the back of the plan provides some action items. We've got a vision, we've got goals, and one goal I thought that was kind of applicable, kind of related to the Committee on Aging was goal number 1, where we talk about existing and future recreational demands, trends and population demographics. So each committee I go to talk with, they all have a piece in the, I went to the resource conservation group, and what they said is, which was interesting, geothermal. We identify solar thermal in the plan, but they said geothermal. And what they're doing now is they're using parkland to rent for businesses or people that want to create geothermal. And I go, man, because we're always looking for, the biggest challenge that we have now is when the development comes in, we get the parkland and the dollars to develop the park. But the trouble is when 20 years, 25 years down the road, when things need to be replaced and maintained, that's the struggle that we have, because the park improvement is not a taxes, but park maintenance is taxes. So that's the challenge that we have. And do we build the park? I think we need to, because people are looking for it. But the trouble is, down the road, we got to maintain it and all of those. So that's a needle that we got to try and back to this point, this is potentially an option to creatively generate some revenue, right?
So I had a quick question, Scott. So as these parks are built, and obviously parks aren't my, specialty, but when it's being discussed, what items are brought up that would pertain to older adults that would reflect the needs, and what kind of trends are you seeing? Because I'm feeling like it would be nice maybe if some parks, it came through the commission, like, I'm thinking like walking trails and, equipment that's more adaptive to older adults. So is there criteria you guys?
Well, and that's a good lead into. Thank you for that. The action items, if I could just read, recreation in public spaces can take many different forms. Conventional forms include basketball, volleyball, baseball, softball, play equipment, natural activities. These conventional forms will always have a place. This section of the plan looks beyond these conventional forms and looks at recreation in public spaces through the following framework. To your point, these are sociable places. So we've got to think people when we're creating new parks. Where can they gather? Shelters, solitude, natural areas, and there's different interests within the community. So when we build a new park, which we'll talk about, Stoner Prairie, what we did is we put in a lot of prairie, which is kind of a couple benefits. It provides a natural resource, but then it reduces, you still have to maintain it, but you're not mowing it, any emissions and all of those kinds of things. And then another one too is seams. How are all of these parks connected? Through trails, and my predecessor did a great job of making sure that there's access to a specific park for the trail, and they were kind of bits and pieces put together, but now we're kind of filling it in, so then you can create the connectivity. So that, I don't know if that answers your question, but certainly I think when we design a park, we design it for everyone. And I mentioned too the inclusive playground that we have at McKee Farms Park, and that's designed specifically for the cognitive, the disabled community, physical, cognitive, all of those kinds of things. So that's really kind of our goal when we put together a new park. It does kind of list other goals. What other ones did I have for you guys? Well, goal 3, develop Fitchburg Park open space, recreate and uses and facilities therein in a manner that provides identity and economic development opportunities. What other one did I? Continue to explore opportunities for new recreational programs and services. So I think that kind of specifically goes to your question, Jill. And then,
Can I ask one question along those lines, and that is the senior center patio?
Yep.
Is that considered a park?
I
Or how does that work into the?
I would say it functions as a park. I think that's in Jill's, but what did you create there?
A gathering space, right?
Right. So
gathering
that's really, kind of the definition of a park is not just a play field. It's a destination. We tried to do a a beer garden, but we really got hammered on that at McKee.
Right.
So the idea of a family can go to a park, get some entertainment, have a beer and a sandwich, and the kids can go play. Kind of the parks provide that gathering location. And another thing I might mention, which let me roll into the hub. These are the projects that we're currently working on. We've got healthy neighborhoods within the community that's been identified, and they've been shortchanged, if you would, on investments into their community. And this is one of our healthy neighborhoods. So what we're trying to do is create a gathering place off of Traceway for that community. And this is a $4 or $5 million investment in a community facility. And if you turn on the back of it, you'll get a little bit of a visual of what that's going to look like. And that actually, we're getting close to bidding the project. So hopefully we can begin construction this year and finish up next year. And what's the next one do I have in there? I have Stoner Prairie. And that too, you can kind of see towards the top is all the prairies and all of those kinds of things that we've identified. And then if you turn it over, which really, it's amazing what these consultants can do to create a visual of what that space is going to look like. This one, we're currently working on a construction document, so hopefully we can get out and built this year. Then I think the last one is the egg park. And I will tell you that we actually have 3 parks that have community gardens, and we have over 100 different plots rented to the community for community gardens. And then at Terra Vesta, if you're familiar where that development is, one of the big items there is we're looking to create an egg park. And if you turn it, well, the big picture is on the front, and then you can see the white perforated area on the front, that's phase 1. And then actually the backside is kind of a blow-up of what that area is. Where we can create educational opportunities, gardening, and all of those kinds. And at some point, we can't do it now, but to have larger tracts of land that could be farmed.
Question for you. For your community gardens in the hub area, are you gonna have one in those healthy neighborhoods?
We aren't. In Southdale? No.
Or off the top drive, any of them, are you gonna?
There isn't any designated in the hub, but certainly Leopold School, they have some community gardens down the street, if you would. Another park plan that we're working on is Southdale. That was just annexed into the town of Madison, and there's actually community gardens there. So that'll give our 4th park that has community gardens with. And I tell you, we keep adding our plots to those gardens, continuing to grow.
Scott, the plan.
So is that 10? Oh.
Scott, the plan is for 24 to 28, and with the rapid growth, particularly south, do you wait until the developers develop before you start planning, or do you think about planning ahead of time?
Well, I will tell you that I've been kind of involved from afar for the the Greenfield and the Stoner Prairie neighborhoods, and we've been working with the planning department and the consultants that they're working with, and what I asked them to include is connections. So it's local in their plan, but I asked them to look regionally on how things are going to be connected. And actually, a while back, when I first started, maybe 2010, we did a park and open, or what was it, a natural, it was an inventory of all of the properties within the city of Fitchburg from a natural kind of inventory. So it created where the connections could potentially be, where it would be linear, with lots and all of those. And I shared with those planners those plans, so they're utilizing those plans as they continue to work with the developments. But
Is the is the DNR property, the fish hatchery, there's all that open space there, and there's not really any walking paths back there. There is from back by Elucidator, you can get in a little bit, but from this end, there's nothing. Is there any plans on?
Well, is there public property adjacent to their properties?
I don't know.
Yeah, see that,
Fish Hatchery Road.
well, right, and, you know, I have no control over, you know, their, you know, certainly I think if we would do a development that's contiguous to their properties, we would, you know, kind of work with them. You know, it's, and you may know this too, that it's best when the development comes in to get the path in like now, because once people get in, then they don't want to pass behind their homes and things, so, you know. And on the other hand, it's a plus, you know, it's a plus for some, you know, they love the bike trails and get on the bike trails, and it's kind of interesting too that, you know, all the developments, you know, they have the price of the lot, and the price of the lots that are adjacent to the parks are, you know, 25, 30, 40% premium. I say, hey, where's our cut in that premium?
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that. But, you know, so it, you know, certainly, like I say, to circle back, it gives me a chance to meet with everybody, and it actually gives me a chance to kind of look back and see how far we've come, and, you know, it's come.
So I just a comment, because I know the hub is coming, and, you know, I'm happy to go on record to say, I remember being part of the discussion about the hub and the design, and I'm still really disappointed that there's a senior housing complex across the street. And, you know, I really wanted to see more paved walking paths versus the pump, and that's still a pump thing, right?
Yep, that's
And so, you know, that was a little disappointing, because I'm hoping that maybe somehow that a path of some sorts could be incorporated, as well as some lighting. We've talked a lot about lighting and to get across the street back and forth, more lighting, but also like speed bumps or
Yes.
some kind of blinking things, because we've already had conversations actually even with Public Works and planning about that. But, you know, I know that, you know, this is in the works, and that's great. But I think, you know, moving forward with parks, flat walking spaces, obviously paved, and lots of benches, you know, is what I'm seeing for more, you know, frailer older adults that still, I mean, I had a woman who is almost 90 who wanted to walk home from the center down to Chapel Valley last week. I was like, well, there's no seating along the way, and you need 2 knee replacements, but, you know, to keep that in mind, because I know oftentimes, you know, park benches are dedication things sometimes, and I don't know if they're always incorporated in a certain distance. I know McKee has some, but those would be the main things that certainly I would hope would be kept in mind.
Well, and certainly to that point, if you can kind of see, you know, here, you know, the idea of at some point, you know, doing some traffic calming and those kinds of things on Traceway, because we've got the Night
Absolutely.
Springs over here.
Right.
So the idea of a raised,
Yeah.
and there's,
Yeah.
you know, unfortunately, the topography at the golf course is not very flat, I guess.
Right.
But the idea of, you know, the golf course being walking trails, and certainly there's gonna be, you know, sidewalks and all of those things to get you to the location. But yeah, there's no, you know, they could walk around, in theory,
Yeah, but
you
you
could-
don't, yeah, I
you
want them
could-
in the parking lot.
you could walk around here.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, that,
But for the older adults, that's not,
yeah.
it's
You
not
kind
as
of wanted
simple
them to
or
be,
as easy as, you know, other
Sure.
individuals, yeah.
Sure,
so
I
anyway.
understand.
Other
Okay.
questions from you guys? So I guess, you know, in terms of myself, and I see parks coming through, maybe I hear them, you know, at the department head meetings and stuff, you know, I could probably, you know, sit in just to say, can we keep this in mind, or, and then the other question I had is some of the older neighborhoods, you know, it's so nice because the developers come in and everything gets to be new, and you guys have so many new parks. is there a plan, like with the old parks, is there a system to update those and give those older neighborhoods that won't have the new and shiny stuff?
That's a
Not
needle,
just
that's,
maintenance, but improvement.
Improvements, yeah,
that's the needle that,
Right.
that's hard to thread,
yeah.
right? Kate, we can propose, $100,000 or $150,000 to fix the tennis courts, but at the end of the day, that it's kind of a decision at the council. And I think what's nice now is that conversation is getting, if you've been following along, is getting some traction at the council level. So I think we've got, a grid of all, and it takes, $150,000 on an annual basis to do just as you say. But if you can ask for it, but if it doesn't get there or get approved, then, and that's a dilemma. We got a new neighborhood, they're giving us money,
Right.
they're giving us land, and they're going, where's my park, Scott? I gave you money, and I'm going, well, so, I gotta build the park, right? But I think there needs to be a discussion on the long-term maintenance of those facilities.
And just even like the playground equipment, is there like you
Well,
flip
what
that
we're-
or there's a schedule?
What we are doing is we're on about a 25-year cycle on the playground, so we seem to be doing pretty good with those. But tennis courts, for example, we've got, 3 sets of them out there that are not very good. And we've, the park commission has put the budget proposal forward, but it just seems to get pushed down the road.
And as we work with new contractors, or not even with the contractors, but rather the revenue that new construction brings to the city overall, might there be some benefit then to breaking out a percentage of that to be used for long-term maintenance? And so when they're knocking at your door, that 75%, some number stays in that new development, and then you earmark to thread that needle for the future.
And Donna, you hit, and that's one of the action items in here, is to take a look at the parkland dedication fee and ordinance, to dig into it, to see what we, there's state and there's laws and rules and those kinds of things. But I think it behooves the developer. They're kind of creating this community, and I would hope, and I put them on the spot. It says, well, don't you want to maintain this for your new customers in the 25 years? So then maybe you give additional dollars and it's put in an endowment fund specifically for that park. So those are the things that we really need to begin to start to think about.
Scott, the fees that are charged to the developing company, how normal, are those fees? Would we be able to jack those up a little bit and not discourage, development?
I'd love to jack them up, but you have to you have to qualify your numbers, if you would. So you look at a traditional neighborhood park and you think of the amenities that are going to be placed in it, the cost of those amenities, and then you divide it by the number of residents. So you've got an actual cost. The developers are saying, hey, it's too much. I'm saying, hey, it's not enough. So I think we need to go through an exercise to like you mentioned, I think you mentioned, to try and figure out a way to have dollars available to fix this stuff and paint this stuff, and redo it when it's time to be redone.
Now, the amounts the
Yeah.
developers have to put in, are they fixed by ordinance? I noticed that you have that reference
They're
there.
fixed by
So
ordinance, yeah.
by saying, well, it'd be great to get more money out of these people, that kind of requires a change in the city ordinance.
It requires me to put together a justification to say, hey, this is what we need, and then the council would adjust the rate in the ordinance.
Has that ever been done?
What's
Has
that?
that been done in the past at all?
It has been done. It has been done.
Can they tell you what to put in a park, or you say this is what we
We've got
suggest?
basically, within here, there's a chart of, there's neighborhood parks, which is a 1/4 mile, area parks, which is a 1/2 mile, and community parks, which is 2.5. And the amenities are kind of identified in each of those different classifications. So we've got an idea. The area park, the neighborhood parks are that, they're like playground, those kinds of. The area parks are more with the shelters, where they rent shelters and bathrooms, and community parks are, McKee, McGaw,
Right.
the golf course, Sunnyside, those kinds of parks.
Any more pickleball courts coming, or
Yes,
just
there are four more. See,
Is it all,
It's all
it's
over
all
there
gonna
with-
be at McGaw?
With lights, and that's actually another project we're working on for this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
I thought the report was very informative, and I was, as I mentioned to Jill earlier, there were many parks that I was not aware of. Fitchburg covers a lot of area, and there are a lot of parks, and so I wondered, is there any sort of public information, a map or a chart that could be available to residents so that, and widely available so that, obviously if you're looking for pickleball, you're gonna search that out, but for people that maybe never thought about playing pickleball or taking a walk and seeing how these trails connect, or bicycling through some of them, it would be really helpful.
Well, and I will report that Dakota Dorn, the city just recently hired a full-time GIS person.
Uh-huh.
So what he did is he put a park storybook together, which is on our webpage. So it lists all the different parks and amenities and all of those kinds of things. So that's actually on our webpage, the park storybook.
Is there any printed ones, or is it a big, great big
I don't
document?
know. I don't know if there's printed.
Okay.
Like a map, sort of like the bicycle trail maps for
Yeah,
Dane County or Madison. I think that would be really helpful.
Right.
I know that you can take your iPhone when you bike, but it's still.
Well, and even QR codes and
Yeah.
all of those kind of things.
Yeah,
Kind of a new
right.
up and coming. Well, and another thing too is to have internet access at these parks.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of, it's a new thing.
Yeah.
But it provides a spot for people who may not have internet access to.
So there
Go-
isn't
go-
now? And how about the bike station, the electric bike stations, are those at any parks?
Oh, yeah.
At
Oh, yeah.
McKee, right?
There's at McKee, we've got some at Swan Creek,
Okay,
there's some here at City Hall.
yeah. But is it always planned now, like as you move forward, is that sort of like,
Yep.
okay, this is an amenity?
Well,
we're
there's
start
gonna be
to
some
move-
at the hub.
Okay,
Yep,
Yeah.
they're in the plan. I think there's a couple other ones that they're considering, but those were put in last year, actually. All those in favor say aye.
any other question?
Opposed? So 10 minutes? Was it 10 minutes? No, it wasn't 10 minutes. But it was engaging, it was interesting.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
thank you.
So is this a,
Well, we don't have a quorum, so, but it's okay, I mean, it was more of an informative sort of
But
thing.
if you don't mind, Jill, if there's, something that the group would wanna include, just, when you do your referral sheet, just put it on the bottom. And then we'll gather all the, like I said, the RCC said the geothermal, so if there's anything that you guys would like to include in there. It's even just a language with the goals or whatever it might be. Feel free to.
Scott, can I ask you one quick question? Sure. There's the Capital City Trail that goes from Odessa's over to the Southwest Commuter Path. When it crosses underneath
The bridge.
the, what the heck is your road?
Longford?
Longford crosses under there, and right on the other side, on the west side of that, there's an area that says, what's going on here? And they're building a bike rest area.
Well,
Is that part of your work, or?
Yep,
It is, okay.
Yep, that's, it's Seegert. The Seegert fellow that passed away, his wife lives adjacent to it. So we're looking at the Kyle Seegert park there. So we did some cleaning out, but right, the idea of having like a bike stop there with a little bit of a half moon path and a natural area.
And I'd also recommend that by Odessus, where the electric bike stations are, there's a little bike repair thing just before you go on the bridge, and there's this nice kiosk with nothing on it. And it's been that way for 5 years. Do you know what that's about?
I know.
It'd be nice maybe if you had like a map with all the bike trails.
Is that in a park, or, I don't know, that
It's
might.
on the bike trail, it's,
Oh,
you know where the bridge goes over, Fish Hatchery Road, the bike path goes over.
But I will tell you that those are actually easements through public property, so that might be DNR or,
Oh,
that's not, we just
That's not
provide, we provide, for example, Chicory Meadow, the trail comes through there, we provide an easement to the DNR for them to do the trail. So it's kind of like a partnership. We work together, but, that kind of amenity or infrastructure would, I don't know, but I'm just.
because I'm walking there and a lot of bikers ask me,
If you-
where does this go, and where
Well,
does
if you-
that go?
if you-
It'd be nice if that
If you-
thing had a map on it.
If you let me know where it is, take a picture of it, I can track it down. If anyone's got any questions, just give me a shout. I should brought cards in, but
I can send them all your contact info.
thanks for.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, I'm on my cell phone. Thanks, Scott.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. So are we going to table approval of that?
Well,
until we
I
get a
think it's
form?
moving, there is no delay, we can't go next month and officially approve.
Okay.
So, we can just send our comments, those that were here, it won't be an official approval. But I think we do have an opportunity, we still have a little bit of time to send those comments forward, like I spoke of, like paved walking paths and more lighting and more benches and, a lot of older adults aren't they might be using the playground equipment when they bring their grandparents or their grandkids. But, I'll look a little bit deeper, I'm not too involved in park development, but I know that I was in the beginning of this, and those were my strong recommendations. And I will continue to pursue that because they haven't broke ground, and maybe there's the city can do some paving because that's a big apartment complex across the street, and I know now people go across the street, to go there. So the safety concerns have already been brought up. And they did talk about when the hub was built, that's when those concerns would be addressed. So I'll make sure that that is, always a priority as well. But if there's other thoughts that you guys have about parks and how they really do accommodate older adults.
I think one thing that as seniors, as people become seniors, bathrooms is really a problem. And if you want to go and walk McKee,
It's a long way to go around
it's a
without a
long way to go
bathroom.
back home. And they close the bathrooms down. They left them open a lot longer this year, but
Yeah, when it
it'd
gets
be
cold.
nice if they had them open all the time and have solar panels that heat it or something. Because that's what Scott, every time I talk to Scott, that's what he says to me. Well, if it freezes,
Yeah.
well.
Well, another thing is maybe just some sort of designation of senior-friendly or kid-friendly, to identify which parks might be more suitable for flatter, more benches or whatever. There could be, some kind of a classification or a little, grading of each park as to, I know that they've got them classified based on the size, but who they
This
might
might be
appeal to.
more appropriate to go to this park.
Very like active sports or, they could just kind of think through all the kinds of things that you can do at this park. And so kid-friendly versus, because also seniors, I can't imagine them wanting to walk around that, bike trail because.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to, you're
No.
not supposed to, yeah.
But did he say you could walk on it or something?
Well, he was talking about kind of walking around the
Yeah.
structure that's
Yeah,
built sort of in this
you know,
area.
mixing some of those activities is not,
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be
people aren't
safe,
gonna
yeah,
wanna do that.
yeah.
You know,
Watch
kind of designating, for people that don't know which the park
Yeah.
is what.
Or parks that don't have playgrounds that are just more of a quiet space, you know, that they maybe,
And
you don't wanna be around
identifying
kids.
where you can rent a shelter too.
yeah, well, that's all on their website.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that, the
That-
website
that's-
is pretty,
It's pretty comprehensive.
it
as far
is,
as
it
that
is,
goes.
yeah,
I do have to go.
that's okay, all right, thanks, Barb. Anything else? I can send these comments
I
forward.
just think that, you know, for the hub, I think it's real critical, because even if we, I think your idea about designating different spaces, but a lot of those people can't get to other places.
Correct, right, so that's their
So-
park.
Yeah, so that's where they are, and so
Right.
make sure that accommodates their needs and.
Right, yeah, yeah. Yeah, even, you know, things like picnic tables. Picnic tables are really hard for older adults to get in and out of.
Oh, absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
so-
They're bench format.
Yes, if
versus
they're bench
maybe
format.
a pedestal.
Possibly, right. So, you know, in different heights, you don't want something so low that you can't get up.
And then you don't want it so high.
It has to be just right. The mobile box will only sit on the one that's just right. But those are things that, you know, I'm not quite there yet, but I you know, my dad is more frail and, you know, I've learned a lot just spending a lot of time with him. Just little things like that. He can't get up and down anymore. He can't slide into a picnic table for the life of him. You know, he can still walk, but getting up and down and so things like that. So I'll do, you know, this just prompting me to do just a little research about equipment too, you know, and that's why I was, you know, maybe, not that we want every park to come before the commission, but a list of amenities that should be included in some sort of standard, you know, things that they need to look at and consider. So this is the time, if there's an open, you know, park space plan or whatever, and they've got goals and objectives, I think we can add some things that really do pertain to older adults. So,
Okay,
all right, thanks.
so let's move on then to our 2024 staff guide.
So that guide, it was just requested that staff guide went to every committee, board, commission that is run by a staff member. It's really more a guide for me to know, you know, I have to take minutes and what do you do? So say if a new director came on board, all right, here's what you need to do with a new member, here's how you take minutes, here's how you do attendance, that kind of stuff. And then it talks about appointments and terms. The only thing that we haven't been doing correctly is changing the chair position, which is supposed to be done, I think, every odd year. So what do you been the chair for?
10 years.
Yeah. So we missed a couple of years there. There is no term limits though, and that I kind of knew, but I did want to double check on any committees or commissions in the city.
But with the chair, you know,
Except for
every
the
time
chair.
it comes up,
Nobody
nobody
wants
said,
it.
does anybody want to be
Yeah,
a chair?
nobody-
And
But
nobody-
now we know, that can't be the go-to. Nobody wants it, so Jim has to say it. No, we have to follow the rules.
Oh, it's
Right.
not that. It's not that you have to vote for a new chair. It's you have to have a new chair.
Well, it is supposed to be voted on.
Okay.
You know, in the, let's see, April will be our last sort of meeting before we get new appointments. There's a couple that would be going off.
So start thinking about being the new chair.
No, sorry, it's still an
Don't make eye
even year.
Yeah, looking away.
You gotta really think about it.
No, it's because Jim has to stay on because it's 2024, so we don't have to switch until 2025, sorry.
Okay.
One more day.
Everything's fine. So otherwise, it was kind of boilerplate information that is helpful for staff or if I were to, you know, have a different staff attend. So they just wanted you to know what was in there and
Okay. That's good background information too.
it is, yeah, it is, so.
Okay, let's hear from Jerry for the friends.
Okay, the Fitchburg Senior Center Friends, last month we hosted a travel show with Mayflower Tours and have set up an agenda for tours for this year, and I believe they've been published in the Senior Center newsletter and online, that sort of thing. So if anybody's interested, they can contact either the Mayflower folks or our travel committee. We're trying to steer things away from our people having to be middlemen or middle person people, I guess, since Lucy Meyer's the go-to person, but it's better. We're trying to shift things such that potential clients or guests or whatever can contact the Mayflower folks directly.
Didn't a group leave on Sunday at 4 a.m.?
I don't know about the hour, but yes.
They did, yeah.
They did.
Where did they go?
Heading out west, I believe, to several national parks.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Got a tour of them.
yeah, the southwest, I can't remember
I
what it was
believe
called,
so,
but
yes.
yeah, I knew they were leaving at 4 a.m., catching a motor coach probably to Chicago or something.
Right.
Could've rolled it out for me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, most of our activities have been directed to the pancake breakfast coming up on April 21st. We should have the advertising materials in hand pretty soon, so you'll be seeing signs and posters and banners and whatnot around the city. We've already received several donations from organizations to the tune of, I believe, like $850 in cash and $150 in Costco cards and 1,200 eggs. Takes a lot of eggs for the pancake breakfast. And we're also looking for volunteer assistance on this, both in advance and also for the pancake breakfast itself. Folks can contact Mandy to get on a list and, state their preferences, what they want to do, that sort of thing.
I was gonna mention too that the flyers, they did create flyers in Spanish, so they'll be putting that, and this team is really highly organized. The chairs of the pancake breakfast, they shared a list of every business that they'll be going through all over the city, and we identified some areas that maybe got missed before, so they're super organized. And then the volunteers, it's split into shifts. I think last year, did we do about 600 participants? It's a busy day, so lots of volunteers are needed, but you don't have to give up your whole Sunday, even if you just want to do a setup or a takedown or just a 3-hour shift, but lots of openings, so yeah.
And what are the hours for it?
8 till 11, I believe, or maybe it's
12, I
noon.
think it's 12,
Noon,
yeah.
okay,
Okay.
all right. And otherwise, we are in the early stages of talking with Jill about some kind of a spring opening for the patio, having some sort of a get-together there to show people how great it looks in warmer weather.
Yeah, I had some funds left from our patio donation fund, so I was able to purchase 2 round tables and 8 chairs, so folks can sit out there. I know a lot of volunteers went out there last fall, and then we can start to do some small programming out there. And I did talk to the ukulele players just to maybe be part of that grand opening, because we just didn't have a lot of time last summer. But yeah, we look forward to spending more time out there and using it as programming space. We'll have seating up to about 18. There's electricity if we had to plug in a speaker, if somebody wanted to do a program. So, yeah.
Jill, will that present a problem for lunchtime folks who want to eat out there in terms of the servers having to bring
No,
stuff out?
I mean, speaking as not a server, but I think it would be awesome to serve lunch out there, for sure. Yeah, so no, I mean, we can easily figure out how to accommodate that, because it is fun. And, a lot of our folks that come for lunch live in apartments. They don't get to enjoy the outdoors, so just having maybe that opportunity.
And there's no steps between the kitchens.
It's everything is smooth, yeah, everything is smooth, so, yeah.
So in terms of lunch outside, so you could only accommodate, what did you say, 18?
Yeah, I mean, we could do a Tuesday, because that's an easier
So you
day,
gotta
but,
do it on your
yeah.
day.
To accommodate a whole lunch outside would be really hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But an
Okay.
event, like, if we had an ice cream social outside, which we're planning, you know, if we just have to bring chairs, that's easy. But if you have to bring tables, that's a whole different ballgame. You know, and again, Parks has been great when we've had bigger events out on the patio and they bring picnic tables. But again, those aren't conducive to everybody. But it does accommodate a lot of folks that can't get in and out, so we've been just thinking about other things we can do out there, but certainly around the lunchtime, because it's just kind of fun, you know, so even if we did a little entertainment before lunch or whatever, but just to encourage people to get fresh air, because it's good for you. Yeah.
With having food and drink out there, will there be insect problems?
Yeah, there'll be bees, you know, I mean, we can't control it, and not everybody wants to be outside. And so, you know, it'll always be option, even when we did the ice cream social, you know, it could be too hot, you know, I know you guys are looking at a brat lunch, in August. So, you know, we always, anything we've done outside, we offer the inside, it's up to you, you know, you can sit in the library, even though, you know, we don't like people to eat in there all the time, but then they can see outside if there is an entertainer, or they can feel like they're close to it, so, but yeah, we'll always want to promote indoor or outdoor seating for folks, so yeah.
Okay, that's my story.
That's your story?
Any
All
other
right.
questions for Jerry? Okay. Jill?
All
Director's
right,
report?
just a few quick highlights. We didn't meet in February. So we had a great, very successful Black History Month event with Dr. Chuck Taylor, who, thankful to Janice, who is a friend of Janice's, so he was able to come over, and he's the filmmaker of Madison's Black Renaissance, leaders of the Madison Black Renaissance. So it was really well attended. Janice and I think around 120. And just a lot of new faces to Fitchburg and a nice way to promote the center. And so I thank Janice for her help. Janice is behind the scenes a lot of things, and I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it was good. Do you have anything to add?
No, I thought it was great. It was interesting because once we had it out at the center, then the department at the state decided to do the same thing. So it was good.
That's the biggest form of flattery, is somebody copying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we do have a couple DVDs downstairs. I actually have two. So if anybody wanted to take it home and look at it, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and it actually just indicates that there are an awful lot of wonderful people doing some great things, you know, in the Madison-Dane County area.
Yeah.
And it tells a story
Yeah.
that's amazing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And then and I'll only give Janice one more kudos, but she ran a SWOT analysis for us. We had talked about this a while, and that's Janice's background. So she volunteered her time, and I can't remember the other woman who transcribed.
Choice dispute.
Yeah, came and transcribed. So we, as a staff, met on a Tuesday, and we just looked at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and it was really good, wasn't it?
It was.
It was really,
They were extremely engaged with their staff.
yeah.
Amazing.
Initially, I was like, oh, we're just looking at programs, and so that was in my mind, like, we're gonna go through every single program, and Jen's like, oh, no. Yeah, so. You're like, maybe another day, but anyway, it's really, the result of that is really giving a lot of structure to me. We're tying in some of what we've identified as threats and weaknesses to our goals. We're streamlining that. You know, I'm a huge goal setter. That's why somebody bought me that plaque on my desk that says goal digger. Because I love goals, but I have a lot. And sometimes they're just not attainable because it's too much. And so we really just kind of streamlined things and redirected it all back to SWOT. So, you know, I'm always talking about I need bumpers. And these are like the perfect bumpers that I need to just like, you know, bounce off and come back to the center because that's where you belong. So very grateful for Janice's leadership on that.
It was quite engaging.
Yeah, and you learned a lot about our staff.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great staff.
Yeah.
And they were very, very engaged and willing and wanting to learn and came together collectively
Yeah.
with the results. Yeah.
And how about any, can you identify two really aha moments out of that process, or
I think one is outreach. I mean, that wasn't an aha, but it was, how does this connect to everybody's job? And what can we do better to do more outreach? Transportation, which is what we'll talk about, and that's gonna come up to you guys, not staff, because that's not really their role. Staff burnout, why, what are the reasons? And that's really narrowing in some of the structure and goals. And, you know, just staff dynamics, how we work with each other, you know, tied into sort of that training that we did for communication. It kind of brought back some of that stuff. How does staff communicate, you know? And so it brought up a lot of that stuff, and it's been really good. And so we're still kind of even, I mean, I guess it's only been a month.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're getting to a place where, okay, we've got a really nice plan. And it's a plan that we're not gonna put on the shelf. It's a plan that will come up at staff meetings, just like it did yesterday, to say, this is what we talked about, let's get back to center. And it was really helpful, for me particularly, so yeah, it's good. So thank you. Also, I do have somebody, I wanna talk about the new LTE. We hired a nutrition site assistant who started Monday. Yeah, we only had 2 applicants, you know, and according to HR, that's not unusual. It's a hard role to fill with limited hours, no benefits. So anyway, the woman we hired lives here in Fitchburg, and so she's close by. Oh, she's your neighbor? Oh, funny.
Yeah, oh, there's one house in between our
Nice.
homes.
Oh,
She's
okay.
a very nice lady.
Yeah.
She's a
I think
very
she'll
nice
do- I
lady.
don't know her well.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
so
for this
she,
job,
I think she'll be great. She actually helped with tax help up here during tax time. They hire a couple LTEs to process payments. And so she was familiar with the city, had already gone through the background checks and everything. So when we sent the offer, she could start right away. So that was super nice.
What's her name?
Chris Tower. And she is going to, so the only drawback, it's not gonna be too negative, is we did want somebody there 5 days a week. And we had to spread out that 20 hours, 5 days a week. So, she really didn't wanna work 5 days a week, for various reasons, which I, you know, respected. And so we compromised on 3 days a week. And I think it's gonna be fine. Tuesdays, Jim's crew in the kitchen, Tuesdays is a slow day for now. We got plans to up that, Jim, so,
Oh,
yeah. Just, it's just a warning. Yeah, right. But our busiest days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, we had 38. Wednesday, we had 37, and Friday, we have 36. So, and that's just because,
Is that home delivery meals? Is
that's
that what that-
congregate.
on the
That's
floor.
just coming on the floor.
Okay,
Yeah,
Tuesdays, it could go
Tuesday,
between 7 and 12.
yeah.
no kidding.
Today is about 25. And what it speaks to is there's an activity before or after. We've got the lunch, well, I'll talk about that, but we've got the exercise, we've got the lunch and learn now, we've got bingo. Tuesdays, we don't have anything. And so that's what we're working on that might tie into that supplemental transportation that I've only used once, that I'm still trying to figure out.
So she agreed to be here on Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Yes, and she also is very flexible. And so she said, if you really need me, you know, I have a lot of flexibility. But there was reasons that she didn't want to fully commit. But thanks to the Fitchburg Senior Center Friends, you know, they committed to 20 hours and she's only working 15. So we might have some opportunity to say, oh my gosh, we have this huge special event today. It would be great if you could come in. And so,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and she was very, very, like the pancake breakfast, like if we need help, she's like, I would love to be there that day. So anyway, it's really nice. Wednesday was very busy and she was in there helping and, so yeah, it's gonna be great. Super excited, so I'm very grateful to the friends, to a generous group. Yeah,
And
so
we-
keep traveling, cause that's that money comes from travel trips, right?
And the timeline, that was a 1-year commitment.
Correct, it's a 1-year commitment. So what we'll be looking at now is budget will be here before we know it, and putting that position back in the budget. If it doesn't go through, we'll take the money for as long as we can from the friends and just figure it out. But it will go back in the budget, and it might go back in at a little higher than 20 hours, because it is difficult to find somebody for that position at 20 hours, so that's what I'm going to do. so, yeah. And then speaking about budgets, the capital improvement plan has come out. So that is looking at items that are $10,000 or more. Generally, we sit down with Fact TV because they house all of the AV equipment, so we talk about needs. And then rec, because it's mostly building needs, it has to be 10,000. So if there's any big things that we need. So last year, we put in to replace some of the tables and chairs, and they allowed us to use both things to build up to the 10,000, because sometimes it's one item, say we want a car or something like that. But, so anyway, that's all we had. We had some AV stuff and the tables and chairs. So moving forward, looking at, I think we look at the next 15 to 20 years, I have to start thinking about that. But oftentimes the bigger stuff goes in maintenance, like chillers and, things that have to be replaced that way. Even if we needed to do refrigerator at $4,000, that's still not a capital expense. So we're talking big expenses. So oftentimes that doesn't really fall under things that I purchase. But we'll be exploring that with these departments moving forward. So I think it's due the second week in April. So, I know, right? I had to bump it up to the top of my list. So that's going on. And then accreditation, I was going to bring this to the committee to see who wanted to serve on accreditation. But we have been accredited by the Wisconsin Association of Senior Centers for probably 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 5 or 6 times. So every 5 years you get reaccredited. But this year the association looked at how can we make this a little easier. If you have been accredited this many times, let's just look at the book,
Changes.
update the changes, rather than giving them a whole new thing. So Nan Hoffman is a volunteer. She worked on the plan for growth for a while with me a couple years ago. She has been through the accreditation process when she lived in Stoughton and worked with the Stoughton Senior Center. So when we talked about this I knew it was coming. She was very interested in serving on the committee. So then when I found out that it was not going to be that intense, Nan just said, I can do this. And so she has been taking this project and running, and it's just great. So she comes to me and says, I need this updated from this staff. And so she's just plugging away with our goal of turning in our reaccreditation, I think by June. And then they come out and do a site visit and that kind of stuff.
So she's in the process.
So she's in the process, so that's off the plate. So now coming to you guys, what I do want to ask for is if anybody is interested in serving on an inclusion toolkit. I do have, so I've talked about this before, and it's a specific toolkit designed for senior centers that look at a lot of different areas, from staffing to training to environment to board members, that looks at diversity in a lot of different areas. I have a project lead that I'm meeting with this afternoon, so we'll be looking at bringing maybe a couple more people. So today I'm just here saying, if you're interested, contact me, and we'll be seeing. I want to talk to her and let her take the lead, how many people we think, but it could just be we work on it. I'd like to have some people of color on this, and then we just bring a checklist back to you to tell you what we're working on. So that's where that's at. But the big thing is transportation. I just don't know how to move this forward, and I really think that it needs to be housed here. And Jim, you've been on the board a long time, and we've done some things. We've written letters, we've gone to a few meetings, but what other ideas can this commission do to move that needle over here? I know they're doing bus rapid transit, but it doesn't come down here. I know they're gonna do maybe another study, but what more can we as a commission do to push this along and really share the critical need that we have to move people around the city?
When I met with Julia, the mayor, we talked about transportation. And she is more than happy to support us in anything that we want to do as far as, but of course, it's, one person can't do it, it's gotta go through the council and everything. But she was talking about transportation is not, and she recognizes what a problem it is for the senior center, but also what a problem it is for the city itself.
Right.
You know, the way we're set up, it's just not very, it's not an easy task.
No, right. Did she talk about initiatives the city is taking to address it?
They're talking about doing a east-west bus system.
Yeah.
They're talking about, you know, I can't remember all the things. If I had some time to think about it, I might be able to remember.
But there's still another study on the docket, I think.
Yeah.
You know, the east-west bus thing is okay. I don't know how many older adults are gonna get on a city bus. But what it does provide is paratransit. So that's a door-to-door.
Right.
And that would allow some people that qualify, it's not a financial qualification, it's a physical. But it's a pretty loose qualification. We have a lot of older adults that don't drive, that if they're in the paratransit areas, which is a quarter mile or a half a mile from a regular bus route, they can go on paratransit. So Chapel Valley people can take paratransit. They can't take it here though. But right now, right, no, right. I'm sorry, I'm thinking, right now in my head, I'm thinking medical rides, because as we don't have enough drivers for medical appointments, we always default back to paratransit. Of course, older adults want a volunteer driver to pick them up, and you know, oftentimes they stay at the appointment, and that's really, really awesome service. But if we can't find a driver and they're in a paratransit service area, we will have them go on paratransit. And so we're seeing more of that at the High Line, Chapel Valley, and now the senior housing around by Target. They qualify for paratransit, so that's sort of for doctors. But again, paratransit won't come here because we don't have a regular bus route. But an east-west bus route would allow paratransit to bring people here. So it doesn't have to be medical. Paratransit take you wherever you want to go. But that's too far off.
Yeah.
It's just too far off.
I as well had conversation with her, but it would be interesting if we could invite her
Absolutely.
here
Yeah.
to just have a conversation with her about it, so that we all kind of understand where
the city's headed.
Because you've talked to her individually, I've talked with her.
Absolutely.
And so I think that would collectively, that would help us all.
Yeah.
And for me, it would also be helpful to find out, I mean, because it sounds like this has been a long-standing thing that's been going on, to really get a good feel of what's happened, you know, along the way, this journey.
Right.
So that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's.
And another thing I was thinking is to just, for the commission members to be more involved, is to either Zoom in or listen online or attend in person the Transportation and Transit Commission meetings. So, because, you know, I think that they talk about a lot of stuff. They talk about, you know, sidewalks and a lot of roads and transportation and the bus routes. But the representation about what does this mean for seniors and people that need to get around the city now? You know, Bill Horns used to serve on the Friends, and he also served on transit. So oftentimes he was sort of our liaison, our connection to sort of what was being discussed at those meetings. But I know I'm going to make a stronger effort to show up, to sit in the background, maybe get some stuff on their agenda. So that's another group that I could have come to this committee and talk about what are you guys doing and why is it that this I mean, I think that you know, the response might be we are making it a priority. We're doing another study. We're looking at East-West, but it still doesn't fit the needs that we have. And so that's another opportunity to get more engaged. So, yeah. Other thoughts about that?
And when does that committee meet?
I'll let you guys know. I'll send those. And I'll do better about sending those links. I can just say, hey guys, you know, because you can watch it live. You can, you know, register to Zoom in, so you're right there, or you can just attend. so lots of options to, I think, just start to, infiltrate and be present, and I think that will help them remember, oh yeah, the senior center and who they serve are very interested in making sure that this is going to meet the needs of the older adults. And whether that flips back on us getting a bus, there's just so many different options. And again, Verona Senior Center just got a bus with the help from Epic, well, actually a van, but their staff is driving it. I'm not driving a bus or a van. I'm not picking people up and I'm not having my staff. I mean, it's a full-time, part-time position or
I'm
something.
saying their staff, the
The
senior
Verona Senior
Verona's
Center
not
staff.
Epic.
No, right, yeah. So
But I think we need to really dig deep in what are our options.
what are our
I
options?
mean,
Right.
because it may never get into the budget, from the city. So we
Right.
really have to look at some other ways of
Right.
attacking this
Right.
transportation.
And again, I mean, maybe it's, I would say this on camera, but maybe it's we get a bus and and the Friends, provide funding for an LTE driver for a while until we can get our feet off the ground. I mean, I think that there's grant money it's easy to get a bus. I've always said that. There's DOT money, there's grants, I can get a bus, but we have to have somebody to drive it, to maintain it, to pay for gas, and then scheduling. I mean, Susie's scheduling, 40 RSVP rides a month, we're scheduling people on the shopping bus, the nutrition bus. It's a lot of work and it's time consuming, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't happen. It's how do we make it happen that doesn't, cause crazy burnout because we're all over the place, and that is sustainable. So just making a nice plan.
And we looked at a couple options on that. One was hiring a city staff person, and the other was contracting the service out to
Exactly.
some outfit.
And that's the, I mean, that was always my go-to, is I just want to contract a service provider. That's what they do. That's what, they've got the buses, they've got the people, they know everything. We can just send them a schedule. They're just not out there. The availability of these contractor providers are very slim, but we'll keep pounding away. So, but looking at all of those options again, which I can bring you file folders of information that I've gathered over the years in cities that are similar and how they provide transportation, shared rate taxis, and just small commuter, buses that kind of just run routes around. So anyway, I'm saying this today because this is really where it lands, is at the commission level. It's really a task that is appropriate at this level. I can't do it solo, but certainly I can drive that plan. And so I think, every meeting this comes up. What are we doing? How are we doing this? And that's gonna be some of our push. So that's your
And
goals.
bringing those people in that have
Yes,
not been a barrier to moving forward,
right,
but might be the keys to moving it forward.
right. And there's also a city transportation engineer, which I worked with very closely about 3 years ago. But then they moved on and left their position. And we were really getting close to writing grants to the DOT to get buses. And so, some of the staff turnover, I've worked with several transportation engineers over the years. It always sets it back. It always sets it back. So anyway, next month we'll revisit this. But I think we'll bring either the mayor, and if she can attend, somebody from the Transportation Commission, or maybe the city's transportation engineer. So I'll look at all of those.
Or all of them at different times.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly,
We need to
yeah.
get into as many
Just
areas
keep,
as we
yeah,
can
you're
get
right,
into.
because everybody's thoughts are different, and
As
so
often as we
everybody's
can
story.
back that
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so, okay, any more ideas, thoughts? I don't know. And then the Friends too, I mean, they're a big piece of this, because maybe that support, is there too if we need funding.
Just one other reoccurring thought is, I do agree that it may reside here with the senior population, but I think there might be strength in who else is impacted by this that would be supportive of expanding the transportation grid and its comprehensive. So there
Right.
that might bolster our needs,
Right.
meeting our needs if
Right.
there is,
Well, and I think
are other populations that need to get here.
and there
to
is, and
use
there's,
this.
you know, I'm a voice for the older adults.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of voices that are representing the underserved. And I have always said, those that need it most are not able to attend the meetings. There's, who's representing them?
Yeah.
And so, maybe it's getting out to some other, community providers that understand what the needs are for, for the working, for the, people that are working, that need to get to rapid transit up the road, you know what I mean? Limerick, there's townhouses over there that have, younger folks in there. How are they getting to work, But there's a morning commuter route, so there is a morning commuter route that people, so it comes right past here, in the mornings, and then it doesn't come again until the afternoon.
Yeah.
So maybe it's some of the work stuff, but I think, I can be tasked with, investigating, and you guys too, think about who do we tap into to see what those other needs are?
Yeah.
Because do we take this route of just serving seniors and that's all of our goal? Or do we look at the transportation as a city problem and we're just one piece of it? There's two routes to go. And I think we need to flush that out again. I mean, I can tell you, when I started 30 years ago, we were buying a bus. We were gonna buy a bus. We had funding, and then we couldn't figure out how to get a driver. Then we started to subcontract. We used some of that money. So I've been all over the place over the years. Yeah.
And what happened to the idea of new developers funding transportation?
Well, I brought that to the city on numerous occasions, and it's an ordinance, which I think can be changed. And so I would like to see if you guys are in agreement that we drive that. It makes complete sense. Why just park dedication fees? Why not, for an apartment complex?
Really comparable
I think
to
so.
green space
It's
expectation.
livability, it's all interconnected to, living a high quality of life, transportation, food, opportunities for play, opportunities to get to work. So yeah, I can bring that up again. I brought it up a couple times, but I can bring it up again to see what is that pushback? Why, is it just a matter of it's really complicated? Well, that doesn't matter. We can muck through that,
Help us remember to raise that question with the mayor.
Yeah.
I just think that we need to really flush out at the commission, that this should be a priority of the commission here in terms of what we're doing, and have a plan.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of do a little bit here, do a little bit, we need to have a plan and stay focused.
Like it. With the bumpers.
What we're after,
With the bumpers, 'cause I'm outside the bumpers, I got ideas everywhere, before I know it, I'll be talking to everybody
Yeah,
and
see, so that's, we need to have a plan.
We need to have a plan.
Who we're bringing in, whose ears are we going to be in, and
right.
so on and so forth.
Do you want us to create a plan at this level before I bring the mayor in? Or we continue, you know what I mean?
We could bring her
I
in for for a general kind of conversation.
And that will help us guide our
Yeah,
plan.
exactly.
Yeah.
We bring speakers in, then
Yeah.
we learn more,
Yeah.
from their perspective as
Yeah.
well. And then we can figure out where we're going with this.
Like it, okay,
It's interesting, the city has sent out this survey,
right?
that, and one of the issues is about transportation.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
good.
does.
Yeah.
Wonderful,
It does.
Maybe.
Certainly took my
Well,
opportunity there.
yeah.
I haven't done mine yet.
That, yeah,
I got to the 22nd.
and I think that is due, those surveys are due next Friday, the 22nd. Yeah, so, encourage folks, and I know we've been, turn it in. This is the kind of stuff that guides the city.
Yeah,
And, right, decision-making, and for better or worse, so here's your voice,
Right.
this is your
Was that a
voice.
result of the police station?
No, those were just kind of running parallel tracks, for a while, yeah, so, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Right. Anything else?
Anything else from you?
No, well, I mean, no, sorry. Sometimes I have to really go to the bathroom. Programs are going great. I encourage you to read your newsletter. Janice is named again, her Lunch and Learn series, and it's ours, but you know, Janice gets the speakers, and that's a lot of work. And not only is she getting speakers, she's getting free prizes from those speakers, so it's an amazing thing. So last week we had Falls Prevention by SSM Health, and she did a great presentation. She did a Falls, it was like a Jeopardy, so really engaged the audience. And then they had these really lovely gift bags with, you know, medication boxes and grab bars, like a suction grab bar, and just really fun stuff. So Janice is just shaking them down, and people love it.
Girl's gotta do what you gotta do.
She is, you're making it happen. So next week is Badger Prairie Needs Network. I'm telling you, Marcia, it's Marcia, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she is amazing. I've heard her speak, and I want to be Marcia. She's amazing. So Badger Prairie needs it's more than a food pantry.
Absolutely.
What they do in Verona is just crazy. And she's just an amazing speaker. And that organization is completely funded by donations. There's nobody paid. It's nuts.
All
And
about you.
she is a fantastic speaker. So if you have time, put it on your calendar, come over next Wednesday at noon, because, yeah, she spoke at a city thing, and I was just in awe of her. So anyway, maybe we can task her to get us a bus. No, she's amazing, so anyway, check that out. We had a fun St. Patty's celebration yesterday with, I said about 37 people in a band, and that was really fun. So we're really trying to do that over the lunch hour. The buses agreed to come at 1, so it worked out really well. We still have some tax help appointments open, and that runs every Friday through March, and that is just a amazing service for people that have simple
Is that pretty
taxes.
filled? I mean, those spots.
Yeah, we have a few left. Usually when it gets down this close, people, are like, I already did it, I already had it. Or we'll get a panic call when it's over saying, I didn't get it, but we have resources. So this is through AARP, and those people are amazing. So read your newsletter. It's always jam-packed, maybe too jam-packed, but good stuff going on. So that's all I got.
Okay. So our next meeting is April 11th.
Crazy.
Okay. So do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
All right.
meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.